to touch base with all of you in regards to mindfulness. I've been having a lot of conversations in regards to mindfulness with teachers, with working with the schools that I've been at, and also with parents. And I think right now I want to focus specifically on parents, well, one, because of all of you, but also because parenting is really hard. And parenting a child with ADHD is very hard. So I want to talk about, I'm reading this really great book right now. Actually, I'm going to show it to you. It's called Brainstorm. It's by Dan Siegel. He's a doctor, and he specializes in brain health. And so this particular book is focusing on kind of the adolescent mind and how the brain changes between the ages of 12 and 24. And so, we've done a lot of talk about executive function, and we've done a lot of talk about how our prefrontal cortex doesn't even develop until we're around 24, 25, 26. And just a lot of, there's been so much research out there, and I know I've talked about this in some of the modules that we have as well, but just on the benefits of mindfulness practices. And one of the areas that it's really beneficial is actually our prefrontal cortex, which is an area that we know our kids really struggle with. So some of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted you to look at first, thinking about how can you incorporate these particular mindful practices into your own life. And I think, we as parents are our kids' best teachers. And so if it's something that we're learning to practice, and if it's something that we are able to do, then it's easier for us to help our kids along with it. So in this book, he talks about there being 3 different, he calls them mindset maps. And the first one focuses specifically on you. So us. So it's thinking about and looking at kind of a self-awareness, our internal dialogue, just kind of what's going on in our own bodies. And then the second one he talks about is a mindful mindset map based on you. So this is where empathy comes into play. This is being able to empathize and being able to understand and putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. And then the third one that he talks about is the sense of we. So knowing that we are part of a bigger picture, we're part of we're part of a larger part of this world. So I'm going to do kind of a 3-part series with all of you, and just go through the different mindset and mindfulness techniques that he has that coincide with each one of these different mindful maps. So if you don't mind, I want to actually read how to go about doing the first part, because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So the first one that he talks about is a practice that he calls insight and a sifting method. So he says to start with, closing your eyes and just asking yourself what are you sensing in your body right now? So if you close your eyes, do you feel like, you have some areas in your body that are tense? Like right now I can feel like my shoulders and my neck muscles are really tense. Do you feel, tingling sensations? But just really taking that time to figure out what is happening inside of your body. Do you notice your heart beating? Is it beating faster than normal? Is it beating slow? Is your breathing shallow? Is it deeper? So really focusing on what sort of sensations you're having in your body. And then he says to think about what sort of images come up in your mind. So if for those of you that do any sort of meditation or practices or your chakras or anything like that, this is kind of your third eye, like right here, which is interesting because it's kind of where your prefrontal cortex is too. But there's a third eye right here, and he talks about what are some things that what images do you see? What, when you close your eyes, they could take many forms. They could be things that are familiar to you. They could be actual, images of things. They could be images of sounds, things that you could touch. It could be an image of a time in your life, like maybe something's coming up Maybe it's a positive feeling, maybe it's a negative feeling, but maybe it's something that was a time in your life that's coming up. Anything that you can think of. Sometimes it's hard, so don't get frustrated, and don't force yourself and be like, nothing's happening. I don't see anything. It's okay, because it can be hard and it can be difficult. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, and don't force it either, but just let it kind of come naturally. And then what are some feelings that you have? So what are some feelings that you're feeling inside of you? So emotions can involve bodily sensations, but they also link our bodies to thoughts, and they also link our bodies to memories that we have, and to different perceptions that we have about things. So becoming aware of your emotions and your feelings, and this is the part that I really think that would be great to focus on with our children and our kids, because I think emotional regulation is a hard thing for them. So just working on how emotional feelings can fill you. He says it can fill you with a wash of energy, and they can be really challenging to name. It can be really hard to put to be distinctive of exactly what that feeling is, and that's okay if you can't really explain what it is. If you can't determine whether or not it's anger or frustration or happiness or contentedness, anything like that. If you can't figure it out, that's okay. It's just being aware of your emotional state is just a really great beginning. And then he talks to, moving into what are your thoughts? So what are the things that are streaming through your consciousness, he says. So, he says it's funny. No one really knows exactly what a thought or thinking really is. So don't worry if it's hard to define what you mean when you say you are thinking this or that. Some experiences, or some people experience kind of an inner voice that they can hear, and others, just have a sense, but there's not really any words to describe it. And he says it's fine no matter how these thoughts emerge, just let them come naturally. But you just need to let yourself be aware of whatever it is that's coming up, and just focus on the now, focus on how you're feeling in the moment. He said this is the basic way that we can sift to see what is going on. So we can sift through all of the different elements of what's happening. So we sift through our minds, we check inwardly with our sensations, so how our body's feeling, how our emotions are, what images and what thoughts are going on at any given moment. He says sift is an apt term to describe the process, of course, because all of the many sensations, images, and feelings and thoughts that may come up in awareness are often connected to one another in a free-flowing process. So we don't need to worry about putting words to these inner experiences. Simply becoming aware of our internal world is the essential component for this sifting practice. As we become more familiar with it, we can try journaling as a means for further exploration. So I just wanted to go over that first part with you, and just try it yourself. It doesn't have to be anything long, but try to make a pattern, try to make it into a daily routine, like you would, brushing your teeth every day, or taking a shower, things that are in your daily routine. See if there's time where you can really focus and try and go inward and practice these practices. So that, again, this is the mindset map number 1. So having your self-awareness and going inward. I hope it helps. I'm going to go over the next 2 over the next couple weeks. Try them out and let me know how it goes.